Hello and welcome. Is Keir Starmer losing his grip on power? His approval ratings are plummeting and his decisions are sparking outrage across the UK. What's really going on? The Prime Minister's question time took an unexpected turn when MP Pete Wishart launched a scathing attack on Keir Starmer, focusing on the Labour leader's declining approval ratings. Wishart didn't hold back, criticising Starmer's decisions since taking office, but it was Starmer's strange and evasive response that drew the most attention. This left many questioning whether he was truly capable of leading the country through such turbulent times. After 14 years of what many consider to be the worst Conservative government in modern British history, the best Starmer could offer was more of the same, leading Wishart to remark that things were bound to get worse for Starmer and his faltering popularity. The laughter in Parliament echoed his point, as Wishart fired jabs at Starmer's leadership, while the rest of the House of Commons struggled to maintain decorum. The true cause of Starmer's waning popularity became clear soon enough. Recent speeches, where he doubled down on divisive issues like immigration, were poorly received. His tone, dismissive of concerns from half the country, painted many as far-right extremists, refusing to acknowledge any legitimacy to their worries about issues like small boat crossings, which have surpassed 20,000 this year, a 3% increase from the previous year. He avoided discussing migration altogether, turning a blind eye to criminality while simultaneously endorsing the Notting Hill Carnival as a symbol of diversity, despite the event being marred by violence, including 2 fatal stabbings. This stark contrast highlighted what many see as a two-tier Britain, where different events and groups are treated differently based on political leanings. More people died at the carnival than during any of the immigration protests, yet the government remained silent on the issue, sparking further frustration among critics. A YouGov poll revealed the extent of the public's dissatisfaction with Starmer, marking him as one of the most unpopular prime ministers in British history, a staggering fall from grace, considering his relatively short time in office. His drastic drop in approval has been linked to several key policy failures. His attacks on pensioners, his failure to address child poverty, and the resurgence of cronyism within the Labour Party have all contributed to the growing disillusionment. His austerity measures, which have arguably been harsher than those implemented by the Conservatives, have only further alienated his base. Starmer's decision to scrap the £300 winter fuel payments, which had been helping vulnerable pensioners survive since 1997, provoked outrage even within his own party. Yet Starmer remained stubbornly resolute, refusing to reconsider the policy. His justification, that the country could not afford to fund such measures in the current economic climate, a position that further fueled speculation about where his true priorities lie. Many accused him of prioritizing fiscal responsibility over the well-being of the British people, especially as energy prices continued to skyrocket. Perhaps most damaging was Starmer's enforcement of the 2-child benefit policy, which disproportionately affected low-income families. This policy effectively told struggling families with 3 or more children that they were on their own. In Scotland alone, this measure impacted over 87,000 children. It's little wonder that anti-poverty campaigners have been vocal in their outrage, accusing Starmer of betraying the very people Labour was supposed to represent. For many, it seemed Starmer was more interested in consolidating his political power than helping those in need. Is Starmer's honeymoon period over before it truly began? Increasingly, it seems so. His controversial policies have left Labour floundering, with their chances of regaining the trust of the British public diminishing with each passing day. Even those who voted Labour in the hope of respite from years of Conservative rule are now disillusioned. Starmer, rather than acknowledging the criticism, has instead chosen to dismiss it, often with smug retorts aimed at his political opponents. One such moment occurred during his exchange with Pete Wishart, where instead of addressing the concerns raised, Starmer resorted to personal jabs. He mocked Wishart, pointing out how few seats his party held and how far back they sat in the chamber. "I remember when they used to sit here," Starmer quipped. "It's a long way up, and there's very few of them now." This tone of arrogance, combined with a refusal to engage in serious debate, has not helped Starmer's image. Liz Truss, the former Prime Minister, went as far as to label Starmer's government as one that has gone from bad to worse. If even Truss is levelling such accusations, it's clear that Labour is in trouble. Further complicating matters is the issue of donations and freebies. Starmer has been accused of accepting donations to pay for his wife's dresses and has been linked to more freebies than any other MP in Parliament. All the while, his government has been implementing disastrous economic policies, cutting payments to the elderly, just as energy costs soar. It's a stark contrast. While pensioners are left to fend for themselves, Starmer is seen enjoying luxury perks. Reports indicate that he's accepted over £107,000 worth of gifts and donations, including luxury suits worth £32,000 and glasses priced at £2,485. This has left many questioning his commitment to fairness and equality, particularly when he's taking £300 from pensioners while flaunting designer eyewear. The irony of Starmer's lavish lifestyle has not been lost on the public, especially when compared to the hardships faced by ordinary families across the UK. Starmer's family, for instance, enjoyed a luxurious stay at a penthouse in Covent Garden, which reportedly cost £2,437 during the election period. While Starmer insists no money changed hands, the optics of such a stay during a time of economic uncertainty have only added to the growing discontent. The Prime Minister defended the arrangement by explaining that his son needed a safe and secure place to stay during his exams. However, for many this explanation fell flat, particularly for families who are struggling to provide for their children under the weight of the two-child benefit cap. Starmer's repeated assertions that "we're all in this together" have rung hollow, especially as his government continues to enjoy privileges and freebies that ordinary Britons could never dream of. His claims of a shared struggle are difficult to take seriously when the reality is that he and his cabinet seem insulated from the hardships faced by the public. Whether it's lavish holidays, expensive gifts, or high-end suits, Starmer's actions have raised questions about whether he truly understands the plight of the people he claims to represent. All of this has only served to undermine the credibility of Starmer's government. His series of questionable decisions, coupled with his apparent ignorance of public opinion, have led many to question whether Labour is capable of providing the leadership the country needs. It's almost as if Starmer is on a mission to ensure that Labour never sees power again. In just his first few months as Prime Minister, he has given the public more than enough reasons to lose faith in his leadership. With approval ratings at historic lows and the country facing a growing cost of living crisis, it seems that Starmer's time in office may be remembered more for his missteps than for any meaningful achievements. As the days go by, the likelihood of a turnaround appears increasingly slim. Labour's chances of regaining the public's trust are slipping away, and with each passing controversy, Starmer's leadership is called further into question. Whether he can salvage his political career remains to be seen, but for now, it seems that the British public has had enough. If you found this video interesting, hit subscribe, give us a like, and tap the bell to stay updated. Thanks for watching.